Today, I'm going very biblical, some synchronicities like in the Bible, trying to interpret few of them the best way that I can channel. And this way it led me to the story of Jacob, Rachel, and Leah. So we'll just start here. I'll be breezing through, but you can take your time and read it. We all know from this point, Jacob had already deceived Isaac, and he had already deceived Isaac. Hold on for me. Just hold on for me. Okay, so we all know that at this point, Jacob had already deceived Isaac and taken the blessings of Esau, which in its own way isn't that much of a deceiving, because we have Jacob. Let me do this short detour. you know you see, it's already here like that. But the first one that came out, wait, let me see that, because I remember an account where, yes, two nations are in your womb, two people within you will be separated, one people will be stronger than the other, the older will serve the younger. You get it? Which in its sense also talks about its synchronicity is in a way connected to Isaac and Ishmael, where Ishmael was the oldest and Isaac was the youngest. You see, so two people from within you will be separated. This time they were twins, but the first time one was from the wife and one was from the servant. The oldest was Ishmael and then the youngest was Isaac. You get it? The older will serve the younger. We'll go to that one in a bit. Within her, when time came for her to give birth, there were twins in her womb. The first one came out was red, and his whole body was like a hairy garment, so they named him Ishmael. After this, his brother came out with his hand grasping the Esau's heel, so he was named Jacob. Isaac was 60 years old when Rebecca gave birth to them, and his skin was red and his whole body. So at that time, looking at the location or geographical area, we all know that they were much more to be brown people more than white. So when we say his skin was red, let's see, it's like that of David's skin. You get it? And for me, whenever I said that in the Bible, I pictured it as albino, more like albino. But these days when you Google, it doesn't really give that kind of pigmentation. But for me, it's kind of, you get it, a kind of, this is red skin. I'm not talking about the illness or anything like that, but for me, whenever I said red skin, it gave me kind of albino kind of thing, like it was a different shade than they are used to. You get it? So that is just by the way. So when he deceived again, that's why I said it's not really much of a deception, because it was already like Oh, I don't know how that's. I know it's in a way like pray. We'll get there. We'll get there. Like it's already something that is. Oh, I know the word, but it's keeping me like in my mind. I'm like, yeah, that word, but it's keeping me. So it's preempted. No, so it was already like something that is already there. Like he was holding the heel of Esau as though to pull him back. And when they were growing up, Esau sold his birthright, to Jacob for a stew, you know. So in a way, it was already, someone will say it's already written in the stars. You get it? And that connection that it makes with this one. So let's see here, Ishmael and Isaac, where the older was sent away and then the youngest became Abraham's heir. The hair or hair? I don't know the H's. Is it hair or hair or whatever? English is not my first language. So over here we go and we see that now Esau learned that Isaac had blessed Jacob and sent him to Padan Aram to take a wife from there, and that he blessed him. He commanded him, do not marry Canaanite woman, and that Jacob had obeyed his father and mother and had gone to Padan-aram. Esau, realizing how displeasing the Canaanite women were to his father Isaac, so he went to Ishmael and married Mahalat, the daughter of Nabiat. I'm butchering the name, I know. And the daughter of Ishmael, son of Abraham, in addition to the wives he already had. So you see, it's also still coming in with the two nations. You get it? The two religions, the two paths. At the end of the day, you have these brothers first being very aggressive, or because Esau was very angry with what Jacob did, and what Jacob did was like, who, if anyone did that to you, when Isaac was old and his eyes were weak, he said he could no longer see. He called for his son, his oldest son, and said to him, my son. And he said, here I am. He answered, yeah. Isaac said, I'm now an old man and don't know the day of my death. Now get your equipment, your quiver and bow, and head out. So he was a hunter. So this is somebody who is a hunter, like red meat. And we have Jacob also being more of, a crop person at first. Like not really a crop, like a shepherd. He was a shepherd, like he was more of a domestic person. But you have Esau being more of a wild game person. You get it? This is something that I always tell people, that at the end of the day, at the end of the day is my word of the month or months. I don't know when it will end, so please bear with me. You hear at the end of the day a lot. So at the end of the day, you have Esau being more of like a game person, and Jacob being more of a domesticated person. Same thing that I synchronize or I align with this is when someone is more of a vegan and another person is more of an omnivore or a carnivore. It's the person's choice, or it's the person's preferences. You might not be aligned with game or being a hunter, but just find what you are interested in. Just because you can't do it doesn't mean everybody else should not do it. You get it? It's just that simple. Just because you can't do it, or you don't want to do it, or you don't feel it's right, doesn't mean it's not right for everybody else. You get it? So please, that is something that I'll just pinpoint over here. And I'm just trying to get it was Rebecca that told her. So Rebecca said to her son Jacob, "Look, I overheard your father say to your brother, bring me some game, prepare me some tasty food to eat, so that I can give you my blessing in the presence of the Lord before I die. Now, my son, listen carefully, do what I tell you. Go out to the flock, bring me 2 choice young goats, so that I can prepare the tasty food for your father, just like he likes it. Then take it to your father to eat, so that he can give you his blessings before he dies." So the mother takes it into the hands to change the destinies of her own children. That's one. And one thing that I'm also seeing a synchronicity here is also something that might have, ring true, like a vibration or a ripple, because we have Cain and Abel. Abel was more of a crop person, and Cain was more of a game person. And after that jealousy rage that had Cain kill Abel, he was in a way cursed. It's not really a curse, but there was a mark, put on Abel, on Cain. Cain. I don't know if this will bring out somebody's name, but yeah, so a lot of people have like a version of what the mark was, you know. I wanted the mark, or the Genesis 4. Okay, so let me see Genesis 4. Thank you. Okay, so over here, my brother's keeper, what have you done? Your brother's blood cries out from the ground. You are now under a curse and driven from the ground, which opened the mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. When you work, the ground will no longer yield crops for you. You'll be relentless wanderer on the earth. Cain said to Lord, my punishment is more than I can bear. Today you are driving me from the land, and I'll be hidden from your presence. I'll be relentless wanderer on the earth, and whoever finds me will kill me. But the Lord said to him, not so. Anyone that kills Cain will suffer the vengeance 7 times over. Then Lord put the mark on Cain, so that no one who finds him will kill him. So Cain went out from the Lord's presence and lived in the land of Nod, the east of Eden. You see, so that specific mark, for me, it was more like the albinoish mark. Yeah, because I kind of take it upon using geographic and using science and using more of common sense and other things like that. That at the end of the day, Cain, melanin can birth more shades or colors than just a less melanated person. Even a less melanated person, they will have to have a rare melanin gene to be able to give birth to a darker shade than intended if they mate or they have sex with someone who is on a less melanated gene like them. So with melanin, and Cain going out, and I always, as a child, I always figured this out, like for my personal ideals. So I always figured it out that at the end of the day, you would have the, let's say, less melanated gene going out. And when we read from the Bible, we realize that when you work on the ground, it will no longer yield crops for you. So when we check geographically, there were people who wouldn't necessarily be more of crop or into crop base. They will be rather into what? Game, like eating meat, raw meat. When there was no fire then, like it would be more of raw meat, or less like medium done, or it wouldn't be well done, because it's in the kind of place or geographical separation, that two nations that got separated. We have the melanated people and then less melanated people. So the melanated people will be able to, eat both the crop and both the animal. But those who will be eating more of the crop will be those that, it yields for them. But as we realize later on, through slavery and through other wandering stuff, there were some crops that were grown, like potatoes. They can grow on hard grounds. There are some other ones that can grow. But as for the abundance of it, like to get the spice, even for you to taste more variety of things, you have to have more melanin. With more melanin, you get more color, like you can see more color, hear more sound, taste more. Your taste bud tastes more than those who have less melanin. So from this angle, you can have these two separated nations first. Then we get to Isaac and Ishmael, which also creates two separated nations. Then we get to Jacob and what? Jacob and Esau, which also creates two separated this thing. It creates two separated nations. So that's where I was pointing at. Like we have Isaac and Ishmael, Jacob and Esau, Cain and Abel here. And we go here with my brother is a hairy man, whilst I have smooth skin. You get it. And we can see from the whole even when we check, we have very hairy people going towards the north, than we have like hairy people coming down towards the south, like our south right now. Because if you are even to check, there are some theories out there that the map is actually upside down, that kind of thing. I don't want to go into that right now, but yeah, because now flows backwards in a way. It will bring down curses to myself. Then the mother said to him, "My son, let the curse fall upon me, on me. Just do as I say and get them for me." But I'm trying to concentrate much more on the blessing. Okay, come here. The smell of my son is like the smell of a field that the Lord has blessed. So the field that was cursed for Cain and blessed for Abel, you get it. May the Lord give you heaven's dew and earth's riches, an abundance of grain and new wine. May nations serve you and people bow down to you. Be Lord over your brothers, and the sons of your mothers bow down to you. Just like how Joseph had his brothers bowing down to him. I'll get to that point later. May those who curse you be cursed, and those who bless you be blessed. After Jacob has finished blessing him, you get it. Then Esau came in. Okay. Then Esau came in. So when Esau came in, your brother came deceitfully, just like he was holding on to his heel, just like he did the birthright thing. So isn't his isn't he rightly named Jacob? This is the second time he has taken advantage of me. He took my birthright, but you gave it to him for steal. And now he's taking my blessing. Haven't you reserved any blessings for me? And just bless me too. So see, you'll be dwelling away from earth's riches and from the dew of the heavens above. You will live by the sword, and you will serve your brother. But when you grow relentless, you will throw his yoke from your neck. So this actually goes like in, it's like there has been a kind of switch. You get it? For me, that's what I'm seeing, that there has been a kind of switch, because you live by the sword. I might be a little biased because maybe I'm African, so it might be looked upon as biased, but yes, that I'm trying to make everything look like it's up to us or it's us, and no, but I'm trying my best. Like, I'm just seeing it as it is, or from my perspective. So if it's biased, don't worry, you can have your own perspective, and I respect that. But when I say there's a switch, Africans do not live by the sword. The sword was kind of introduced. When I say the sword, we don't use sword now, and we didn't really use sword before. It was more of, how should I put this? Like, let me use I want to sorry. Yeah, there's just a part here that I want to because I live by the sword and die by the sword. And when we also go biblically, when Peter drew the sword to cut down the ear of the soldier, you have this the Jesus Christ saying that those who draw the sword die by the sword. You get it? I really love this song because it's much more than you can. My mind's filled with minefields, the ashes fall, the wine spills, the world stops, drops and rolls. It's judgment day of fire drills. Yeah, I pour out my heart, have a drink. They say drunk never lie, they ain't never lie. My country, this of thee, sweet line of kill them all and let them die. God bless America, this oh God bless America. Had tomorrow and promise today. The end of time is like an hour away. The military minded, those who can't find it. The stars on the flag and never shining. I saw a butterfly in hell today. Well, like I'll go to jail today, 'cause I live by the sword and die by the sword. The police is looking for me, I'ma hide by a bro. Shooting stars in my pocket, sit on my rocket. I'm wide of the socket, but still shocking. Everybody wanna tell me what I need. You can play a role in my life but not the lead. If there's food for thought, then I'm guilty of guilt. Then I'm guilty of kid. Mama said, take what you want. I took kid. Yeah. So, back to life, back to reality. Betty, my girl, she's so sweet, girl, cavity. Granted, we do for vanity, not humanity. But what's feeling to me is under planetary love. I got so hard. I tried to play homage, but I was overcharged at the end of the page. I know it's like I'm fast forwarding, yes. Yeah, the bitch. I'm just not trying to bust a national enough. Used to say fuck the police, now say fuck jail, same shit, same different every fresh now. I'm playboy, I, playboy. You ever try and be yourself ahead? God feels me, yeah. 2 fingers to my head, pop 2 fingers to my head. This is very interesting because you'll see that in All Right, where the police uses 2 fingers, the music video, to just shoot. It has a whole lot of meaning today that, like, I'll go into it someday. I'll use it someday, but man, it's a whole lot. It's a beautiful story. It's a beautiful thing that is happening with the synchronicities that I'm seeing. It's amazing. I'll be in the class, number 9, and I fuck the class and let it come to time. It's a cold world, or like cold world. I put on and make there's a change of command. And he is the missing link. So let me go back here. Yes. When you go relentless, you throw his yoke off your head. So it's up to you to throw the yoke off your neck. And for me, as I can see, or as I can feel, or as I can imagine, when the yoke was being thrown off, like for Cain, that why should I be in this barren land, like the descendants, why should I be in this barren land and my brothers can be enjoying the fruits and all of those things? Why should I be doing that? Relentless feeling actually came upon and became of, let's go and give it to us. You get it? Let's go ahead and then do it, like all of that, instead of actually becoming peaceful with the brother, like what Esau did. It was rather, I'm taking from you the anger, that was like a timeline that was like taking that. Oh, instead of coming in that, oh my god, you guys have so much, because when the Europeans came to Africa, it was with open arms that they were accepted, even to the point of accepting their religion. But the religion was much more forced, than the history says. It was much more forced. Either you accept Jesus Christ or you die. And you can have it even in the European history where they went on a crusade, and through that crusade they were just killing people who will not accept their religion, which is it just breeds more trauma. You get it? It just breeds more and more trauma. So Esau had held a grudge against Jacob because of the blessing his father gave him. He said to himself, the mourning days for my fathers are near, then I will kill my brother Jacob. You get it? But if you read later on, go to your brother wants to kill you, so blah blah blah, and stay there till I can't lose both of you in one day. I'm disgusted with the living of this hating woman. My life will not be worth living, because Esau had already gone to marry these women, the Kenneth women. You get it? So this also brings into another storyline that here, where he had a dream and he said, this is it, I am the Lord, the God of your father Abraham and the God of Isaac. I will give you and your descendants the land on which you are lying, and your descendants will be like the dust of the earth, and you will spread out to the west and to the east and to the north and to the south. All people on earth will be blessed through you and your offspring. I am with you and will watch over you wherever you go, and I will bring you back to this land. I will not leave until until I have done what I have promised you. So if the promise get fulfilled, will the God leave? That's the question. When the promise get fulfilled, because he says, or according to the Bible, he say he. So he says, I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you. You know, and like I said, you might think it's bias. Don't worry, feel free. You can also make your own argument, but we can see that through the slavery that happened, it has taken Africans to the east, to the north, to the south, to the west, all over the earth, you know, and all people on earth will be blessed through you and your offsprings. At the end of the day, you can testify that inventions upon inventions that has been made and now coming to light that it was actually black people that made all these inventions for, you know, us to have. Even the internet was made by the fiber optics that allows us to be connected. All of these things were made by black people, you know, various of inventions, you know, and the people of the earth are actually what, you know, enjoying it. And when I first read this, I was like, this is also like colonization. Like, the place used to be called Luz. You came there, you discovered it, and then you are like, I'm calling this place better. So I'm like, you just came there, but it's a symbolization for him. You get it? He's not stopping anybody from still calling the place Luz, but for him, it is better. That's the thing we fail to realize, that we force ourselves. Like, if I think this place is better, then I'm forcing everybody to call it better, whilst the place is called Luz. So those who know it as Luz knows it as Luz, and those who are the followers of Jacob can call that place better. So it gives you a kind of identification. So if you call the place Luz, we know, oh, you are part of the originators of that place. If you call it Bethel, we know, okay, you are part of Jacob's tribe, or you are part of Jacob's believers, or you are. It's that simple. You know, oh, that place is called Laos, it's called Bethel, it's called this, it's called that. So whatever the person name it as, the followers are marked, just like Cain. You are marked by that name. So if you call it Laos, we know you are originator, or you are part of the people who believe in the origination. There's no fight to be fought. Why should you fight that? Nah, it's Laos. No. At the end of the day, if it's Laos for you. If it's better for you because of what you have heard or what you have believed in. But that doesn't mean that somebody calling it Laos is false, or somebody calling it Bethel is false. It's that simple. But people will fight, kill, murder, all sorts of things, just because at the end of the day it's in a disagreement that, oh, why are you naming it as this? You have to give the respect to it, that yes, it used to be called Laos, but now because of the experience that I had here, this is what I'm calling it. It's not that I'm changing the name from Laos, but from everyone that I'll tell my experience to, this is what I am naming the place, because this is what it symbolizes for me. Symbolization. It's just symbolization. You get it? And music, let me use this as example. Songs, you don't know what this song really means to me. You don't. Until I tell you where I heard it from, the experience that I had with it. You know, somebody might have heard it in the club the first time. Somebody might have heard it when they were driving and they had their first accident. Somebody might have heard it when they were making their first laugh. Somebody might have heard it. It's all about the experience. So if I hear this song and it makes me happy, why should I force somebody who heard it when they lost their loved one? You get it? It brings different experience. It brings different emotion depending on the experience that was had. That's it. You don't have to force people to feel the same way you feel about something. That is religion. Religion comes in to force people. That's why I say that this is my perspective. You might think I'm biased. Feel free to feel that I'm biased. You can also have your perspective, but don't come in and tell me that you are wrong. You can come in and tell me that, hey, I also have this perspective. Wonderful. Let me hear your perspective. I might respect your perspective, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to change my perspective, because our experiences are different. That's the thing. Our experiences are different experiences. So I can respect it because I'm like, I know somebody who experienced that thing before, so I can understand that, but that is not my experience. It's as simple as that. But it's not compulsory. That's the thing. It's not compulsory. So we go to the next one, which is actually like the whole versions of this. So here there's this synchronicity that really happens that I'm like, yo, mad, like mad. Cause here we have Jacob going in to marry Leah and Rachel. And in the Bible, when you have L at the ending, it's kind of really related to like angelic kind of thing. And here we see that the L here is reversed. You get it? It's reversed. And the anagram of here is like heel. Like it's a whole lot of synchronicities that happens here, that ripples. I call them the ripples because, as you can see, it happened with Cain and Abel, then Isaac and Ishmael, then Jacob and Esau. You get it? First it was brothers, then half brothers, then twins. It kind of goes in like that. So when we look at Leah, I'm just spelling it out. Like Leah goes like this. You get it? The same words or the same letters make up heel. You get it? But the most amazing thing is when you reverse Leah, you will have like when you reverse it, you have like this is Leah. When you reverse it, you have this. And when you add Michael to it, you have like Michael. You see? And when you reverse it, the whole thing, like you reverse Michael, like when you reverse the whole thing, it talks about what? A family farm or a bloodstock name, and they also acknowledge it is Michael. And when you search the Urban Dictionary, the name Lachim is, or Liahim, is the Hebrew, I said Hebrew, is the Hebrew origin mean of who is like God. The name of Lachim is of African origin and means God that rules over others. Like, you can't make this shit up. It's of African origin. Backwards, Lahim, God. Let me go with God and see. Okay, it's of Egyptian origin, meaning the God of all gods, including Ra, which is the God of the sun. So as you can see, it's the connection here. It's a whole story of itself. Like, it's a whole line of itself. But that's not really the synchronicity that I was looking at, you know. So he said, now Laban had 2 daughters. The older one was Leah, and the younger one was Rachel. Leah had weak eyes, but Rachel had lovely figure and was beautiful. Jacob was in love with Rachel, but was Rachel in love with Jacob? What if she had somebody before meeting meeting Jacob? You know, Jacob was in love with Rachel and said, I will work for you 7 years in return for your younger daughter, Rachel. Laban said, it's better to give her to you than to some other man. Stay here with me. With this, I can actually say that then he knew that Rachel was, maybe in love with somebody else, than say, okay, yeah, I'd rather give her to you, my sister's son, than give her to that man, than to some other man like that. So you don't keep feelings in accountability. And people will say, yeah, different times, women were not regarded. And you see the harm that it causes in the long run. In the long run, like when you disregard women, you get it, because it's a whole lot of things. So he worked 7 years for Rachel, only to be given Leah. When morning came, it was Leah. So Jacob said to Laban, what is this you have done to me? I served you for Rachel, didn't I? Why have you deceived me? You dear, when we did it to you, you are pained. When you deceived your father, you were not pained. When you deceived your brother, you were not pained. It's funny, isn't it? And he is like, it's in his, I don't know, it's in his like character traits. So you can't actually like pinpoint him like you're a deceiver, because it's even in his name. And that is what I say, that name is very, very powerful. Like when you name something, when you put a name on something, make sure you understand the name, make sure you understand the meaning, or transmute the meaning to fit what you mean. Because if you name someone Jacob, that is a deceiver. Like that's the intention or the energy that the name carries. So if you are naming it after somebody and you don't know the life of that person, whether they were able to transmute the name, they weren't deceiver. So the name got transmuted. Like, oh, I'm naming my son or my child after this person. What did they do with that name? Because it will have a ripple effect on your child. I'm telling you, like that energy just carries through. Laban replied, it's not accustomed to give the younger daughter in marriage before the older daughter, or the older one. Finish this daughter's bridal week, then I will give you the younger one also in return for another 7 years of work. And this particular one gives me a synchronicity of what happened with Joseph. So we'll go there. Yeah. Okay, so we'll go to Genesis 41. When the 2 full years had passed, Pharaoh had a dream. He was standing by the Nile when out of the river came up 7 cows, sleek and fat, and they grazed among the reeds. After them, 7 other cows, ugly and gaunt, came out of the Nile and stood beside those in the river bank. And the cows that were ugly and gaunt ate up the 7 sleek fat cow. Then the Pharaoh woke up. He fell asleep again. A second dream. 7 heads of grain, healthy and good, were growing on a single stalk. After them, 7 other heads of grain sprouted, thin and scorched by the east wind. The thin and the thin heads of the grain swallowed up the 7 healthy, full heads. And then Pharaoh woke up. It had been a dream. Then morning, his mind was troubled, so he sent forth all the magicians and wise men of Egypt. Pharaoh told his dream, but no one could interpret it for him. Then the chief cupbearer, which gives us Aquarius, which gives us the Aquarius, the water bearer, also holding what? The pitcher or the cup, The chief cupbearer said to Today I am reminded of my shortcomings. Pharaoh was once angry with his servant, and he imprisoned me and the chief baker in the house of the captain of the guard. Each of us had a dream the same night. Each dream had the meaning of his own. Now a young Hebrew was there with us, a servant of the captain of the guard. We told him our dreams, and he interpreted it for us, giving each man the interpretation of the dream. And things turned out exactly as he interpreted for us. I was restored to my position, and the other man was impaled. So Pharaoh sent for Joseph and was quickly brought from the dungeon. When he was shaved, changed clothes, he came before Pharaoh. Pharaoh said to Joseph, I had a dream and no one could interpret it. But I have heard it is of you, and when you hear dream, you can interpret it. I know I'm butchering things. Don't worry, you can read it. I cannot do it. Joseph replied to Pharaoh, but God will give Pharaoh the answer he desired. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, in my dream, I was standing on the bank of Nile when out of the river came up 7 cows, fat and sleek, and they grazed among the reeds. After them, 7 other cows came up, scrawny and very ugly and lean. I had never seen such ugly cows in the land of Egypt. Then the lean cows ate up the 7 cows that came up first. But after they ate, no one could tell that they had done so. They just looked as ugly before. Then I woke up. In my dream, I saw 7 heads of grain, full and good, growing on a single stalk. After them, another 7 heads sprouted, withered, thin, and scorched by the east wind. The thin heads of grain swallowed up the 7 good heads, and I told the magician, but none of them could explain it to me. Then Joseph said to Pharaoh, the dream of Pharaoh are one and the same. God has revealed to Pharaoh that what he is about to do. The 7 good cows are 7 years, 7 good heads of grain, and 7 years is one and the same dream. The 7 lean, ugly cows that came after are 7 years, and so are the 7 worthless heads of grain scorched by the east wind. They are okay. I have a call now. Okay, so sorry about I had a call, and yes. So as we can see, this is 7 years. 7 years, just like how Jacob actually worked for 7 years. So we can see that the the 7 years that he thought would be fruitful for Rachel, now when he worked again, that wasn't out of like his original plan. So that can be seen as the lean ugly cow. And even though this time it was also for Rachel, the first one was willing, thinking he would get it, was big and fruitful because he thought at the end of the day that would be his reward. So you see how this synchronizes, and it's actually one of Jacob's sons who interprets this dream for the Pharaoh. And it happened in the physical. It manifested physically. You get it? Just like how right now most people will tell you that we are heading into the age of Aquarius from Pisces, and we all know that Pisces is really associated during the time of Jesus Christ. So the Christ or the Jesus that was in, now we are going into the age of Aquarius, which becomes the age of information and data, the water bearer, which is also like in a little bit it's in a little bit it's in a little bit of conjunction or something like that with the cup bearer. They pour, or they are porous, like they pour. And Joseph did tell him that when 2 years, which one four becomes 14, like 7 plus 7, 41, invert on itself is like 1/4, which is like the 14. You see, and he told him that 2 years will pass by before he remembers him. And if I'll stretch it up a little bit, we have the COVID-19 happening, and now we have 2 years. So the COVID-19 actually happened late 2019. So if you're counting, we count from 2020. Now we have 2020. We have all the havoc that started happening in 2020, 2021, then 2022. 2 years for the great remembrance, where finally it gets remembered, like the 7 sleek cows, the 7 years Joseph worked for Rachel only to be given Leah, which I also pinpointed here, like Michael, where Michael fought with Satan in the heavens and threw Satan onto the earth and cursed the earth. And most people associate it with the World War One, like 1914, 14 again. You see that the World War One was the time that happened, like that manifested in our physical. So all of these synchronicities, for me, when they were going away, like here we have Simon here, and the Simon here can also be associated with Simon Peter, or the apostle Peter. Like here, Simon or Cephas is one of the 12 apostles, here. And as we also know, wait, it's here. Okay, Judah. Okay. Yes. So Levi, she couldn't give birth again. So the first person that, let's say, will be, Rachel saw that she couldn't give birth, right? And the explanation of why she couldn't give birth was that the Lord saw that Leah was not loved, so he we have another 14 here, yes. So Leah saw that she wasn't loved as Rachel, so made Rachel barren, so that Leah can be the one giving birth. So Rachel decided to, just like what Sarah did with her servants, Rachel decided to do the same, where he had Joseph sleep with the servants. You get it? and the servant became pregnant and gave him what? Dan, that God has vindicated me. And when we look at Dan, which is like Daniel, so Daniel is from which tribe? Wonderful. Dan. You see, so Daniel is from Dan, is from the, what do you call it, the first child that was, and he was able to, interpret Nebuchadnezzar's dream about this thing was able to interpret Nebuchadnezzar's dream about the idol. So wait. He interprets the dream about the idol, this idol, and people have been able to decode it and see that the head of gold is that of the Babylonian, and this is Medo-Persia, this is Rome and Greece and blah blah blah. So it's okay. Yes. So here, I think, yes, the future empire. So here, so this is why people say we are in the end times. So we have Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, Rome, and future empire, which is Anglo-America. Then you have the rock coming in to hit the feet, which shatters the whole image. So that image that has been present before us for so long will be shattered, and out of that rock that shatters it will rise a huge mountain that will cover the whole earth, and everybody will celebrate in their own way. You get it? And Nebuchadnezzar actually made an image, the golden image of Nebuchadnezzar, which from that image, because the three people would not, the three people, that is Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they wouldn't bow down to that image. They got casted into the fire, but they survived the fire. They were able to survive the fire. And the same way, Daniel was also casted into the lion's den. But what they didn't know is Daniel comes from Dan, whose brother is what? Judah. Daniel's brother is Judah, and he is, Lion of Judah. If you search anywhere, you know this. You see, Lion of Judah. So his brother casting or helped him, you get it, like Yeshua, blah 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 blah, with the tail of this. It also has the Christian symbol, but not really. So it's almost like how the ankh has been used, so you can also know more about the ankh. It will help. This is the Star of David, which is also in conjunction with the Merkaba. Yes, so as you know all of these things, we have the rainbow here. And as you know, in biblical terms, when Noah came out of the ark, the rainbow symbolizes a covenant that water will not be used to destroy the earth again. Fire was used to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, and we have air and earth. So we have earthquakes, tornadoes, firequakes, and all others that are happening. But flood is also rampant, but not as the age of Noah. The flood that is happening right now, I would say it is in a different form, but that's not the topic for today. After all the children were giving birth, Jacob wanted to return to his place, but Laban wanted to cheat him and all of that. We'll cover that in another time, but this for today is what we are covering, how the mixing. So he was able to create it. This is how Jacob created it. However, Jacob took fresh cuts from poplar and almond and plane trees, and made white strips on them by peeling the bark and exposing the white inner wood of the branches. Then he placed the peeled branches in all the water trough so that they will be directly in front of the flock when they come to drink. When the flock were in heat and came to drink, they mated in front of the branches and bore young that were streaked and specked or spotted. Jacob set apart the young flock by themselves, but made the rest face the streaked and dark-colored animal that belonged to Laban. Thus he made separate flock for himself and did not put them with Laban, for whenever the stronger, like the strong, beautiful cows, whenever the stronger females were in heat, he will place the branches in the trough in front of the animals so that they will mate near the branches. But if the animals were weak, he will not place them there. So the weaker animals went to Laban, just like how the weaker animals in the dream. So the 7 years of abundance and 7 years of scarcity, that is what made them be able to put Joseph in charge over here. That Joseph was in charge of Egypt. So Joseph said so the Pharaoh said to Joseph, I hereby put you in charge of the whole land of Egypt. Then Pharaoh took his signet ring from his finger and placed it on Joseph's finger, and dressed him in the robes of fine linen and put the gold chain around his neck. He made him ride in his chariots in his second command, and people shouted before him, make way. Thus he put him in charge of the whole land of Egypt. The Pharaoh said, I am Pharaoh, but without your word no one will lift a hand or foot in all of Egypt. Pharaoh gave Joseph the name Zaphanat-Paneah, and gave him Asenath, daughter of Potiphar, priest of On, to be his wife. Joseph went through the land of Egypt. Joseph was 30 years old, just like Jesus Christ was 30 years old when he started his ministry and entered the service of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. And Joseph went out from Pharaoh's presence and traveled throughout the land of Egypt. During the 7 years of abundance, the land produced plentifully. Joseph collected all the food produced in those 7 years of abundance and stored it in cities. In each city, he put a food grown in the field surrounded it. Joseph stored up huge quantity of grain like sand of sea. It was so much that he stopped keeping records because it was beyond measure. Before the years of famine came, 2 sons were born to Joseph by Asenath's daughter, Potiphar, priest of On. Joseph named his firstborn Manasseh, and it's because God has made me forget all my troubles in my father's household. And the second son he named Ephraim, and said, it's because God has made me fruitful in my land of suffering. The 7 years of abundance in Egypt came to an end, and the 7 years of famine began. As Joseph has said, there was famine in all other lands, but in the whole of the land of Egypt there was food. When all Joseph began to feel the famine, the people cried to the Pharaoh for food. And Pharaoh told the Egyptian, go to Joseph and do what he tells you. When the famine had spread over the whole country, Joseph opened all the storehouses and sold grains to the Egyptian, for the famine was severe throughout Egypt, and all the world came to Egypt to buy. This is something that I'm saying, that at the end of the day, right, you had Joseph just taking care of Egypt. That word could have spread to all areas of the world, that we have 7 years of fruitfulness. So store your grains. It could have been spread. Those who listen to it would have been able to store up with time. So why didn't you just spread that word, that there's 7 years of abundance, and after that there will be 7 years of what scarcity. So store up your grain or keep storing so that other people would have also done it. Just that if I have the word right now, I'm telling you that there's 7 years of abundance. It's not even 7 years. Once you've been able to make it through 7 years, that's why other countries were even coming to Egypt to buy. Right, other countries were coming to Egypt to buy, because at the end of the day you have all the other all the food being stored in Egypt. So if they are spread the word like, oh, there's 7 years, other places wouldn't have suffered that 7 years. Egypt didn't suffer the 7 years. It was fruitful throughout the 7 years, so they didn't suffer through the scarcity. So it's other places that suffers through the scarcity. It would have been normal or go forward, and everybody would have had something to feed themselves. Instead of even seeing the scarcity, it wouldn't have been so pronounced. It wouldn't have been so pronounced. It would have just passed by without people even noticing it. That's the same thing. If we are in 7 years of abundance, or 7 years of scarcity has passed by, and we have 7 years of abundance, why not teach people to store up the 7 years of abundance all over the world, not just hoard it? Like, I wouldn't say that, oh, because I'm in Africa, or because I'm in Ghana, or because I'm here, I'm the only one hoarding it. It should spread everywhere. But people are so much into capitalism that they will try to capitalize it so that other people will come to them and be, under them and be in control. It doesn't fucking make sense. Yeah, it doesn't. Teach other people, let the message out so that people will know that, hey, after all of these abundance are coming, let's make use of it, let's create out of it, let's become creators. If you can't create. So here, this is what I mean. I know with my words and everything, if you can't create, what? Be a creator. You get it? If you can't create, create curate. That's the word. Okay, so this is it for today. I'm grateful if you've listened to it all this while. I'll be covering more and more channels, like, from time to time. Thank you so much for joining in, and thank you so much for listening. I'm super grateful. Keep safe, take care of yourself, and be blessed always. All right.